Hi, I'm Megan Skidmore, and this is the Beyond the Shadow of Doubt. I'm a woman, daughter, sister, spouse, mother, life coach, and person of faith on a mission to normalize asking questions and allowing doubts, not only in a faith journey, but in all aspects of life. Join me in bringing this traditionally taboo topic out of the shadows of shame and into the light. I'm a firm believer that we normalize through more talking and engaging in discussion. More talking peels back, exposes, and erases the layers of shame associated with questions and doubts. When we're more authentic about our journey, we are more powerful because shame has no power in the face of authenticity. I am so excited to share with you that the Love Loud Music Festival is coming to the Lone Star State. Founded in 2017 by Dan Reynolds, Love Loud is a catalyst to bring communities and families together to help ignite the vital conversation about what it means to unconditionally love our LGBTQ+ friends and family. Love Loud offers hope to people, letting them know they're not alone and encouraging acceptance in the home and community. It all begins with talking, sharing, and showing the realities of what LGBTQ+ individuals face daily. If you are in Texas and interested in volunteering along with me and some of your fellow Texans, please reach out and I will connect you with the right person. I would love to stand side by side and serve along with you. More information is on their website, which I have listed in the show notes. Hello there, and welcome to today's episode of the Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. I hope you are doing well and life finds you enjoying the change in fall temperatures. I know I am in Texas. Today's topic is a little tougher in that it's more personal, it's tender, it's, I guess, hard to talk about because of the pain and the hurt associated with it. And that is the topic of trauma. And I wanted to share a little bit with you about what it means to be a trauma-informed coach. To start off with, in the same way you might discover a physical malady or a wound that may not be obvious at first, it's also possible to discover a spiritual, an emotional, or a mental wound that may not be apparent or obvious at first. It's important to be aware of spiritual wounds and how to not add to the already heavy burden and pain some are carrying. As such, I encourage you to listen to my 3-part series on spiritual wounds in episodes 51, 55, and 59. Spiritual wounding is a form of trauma. Spiritual wounds are found in trauma and traumatic experiences, such as physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and/or sexual abuse. The pain is especially deep if the wounds are from the hand of a trusted individual, like a neighbor, a family member, or an ecclesiastical leader of some sort. According to the American Psychological Association, trauma is defined as an emotional response to a terrible event, like an accident, a rape, or a natural disaster. Immediately after the event, shock and denial are typical. Longer-term reactions can include unpredictable emotions, flashbacks, strained relationships, and even physical symptoms like headaches or nausea. There are 3 main types of trauma: acute, chronic, or complex. Acute trauma results from a single incident. Chronic trauma is repeated and prolonged, such as domestic violence or abuse. Complex trauma is exposure to varied and multiple traumatic events, often of an invasive, interpersonal nature. I'll leave links to the sources cited in the show notes. Everyone has experienced some form of trauma to one degree or another. The difference is those who are aware and those who are not. And without this awareness piece, the effects of trauma can be exacerbated. I am part of a movement to raise our collective consciousness surrounding trauma and its effect on our day-to-day lives. To have trauma isn't necessarily the problem. However, the lack of awareness and subsequent non-acknowledgement or non-addressing that it exists is where it can get problematic. It affects one's day-to-day living, quality of life, ability to reason, to exercise sound judgment, and even allow and feel our emotions, among other things. And ultimately, it affects our relationships with others. Now, here it's important to consider that a relationship can exist with not just another human, but also with a group, a community, or an organization, and so on. So, as I stated, not only am I strongly in favor of trauma-informed coaching, I believe it needs to be the standard in the coaching industry. So much so that this year, 2023, I took the time to enroll and participate in and complete advanced relationship trauma certification with Coach Lindsay Pullman. I cannot recommend enough the importance of the certification, especially among those in helping professions. This program teaches you, as the coach, to understand what trauma is, how it, quote, shows up, that relationships in their clients' lives may have contributed to trauma, and then to better recognize the ways that the effects of this trauma exist in their clients' lives. It also clues you in as a coach to be aware of the possibility of unresolved trauma. Here are 3 reasons why it's important to consider trauma. Trauma-informed coaching acknowledges that as a client and a human being, you have experienced trauma-inducing events at some point. As a trauma-informed coach, I do not treat trauma. I am aware of the nuances that come with working with humans or a client that has experienced trauma. Second, trauma-informed coaching is a way of understanding the presence of past trauma, its current effects on a client, and how to use the client's resiliency to guide them along their path towards solution-focused growth. And finally, the experience of trauma creates elevated risk for substance use disorders, including abuse and dependence, mental disorders such as depression, anxiety disorders, impairment in relational, social, and other major life areas, and other distressing symptoms, and physical disorders and conditions such as sleep disorders. And that was taken from Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration pamphlet, which is part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Being a trauma-informed life coach is not treatment for the trauma. I am not making that claim. What I am doing is promoting an industry-wide standard for all life coaches to engage in trauma-informed coaching, to be aware of the nuances that come with working with clients who have experienced trauma, which pretty much includes everyone, because on some level or another, every human being has experienced some trauma. It is a matter of awareness, as I mentioned earlier, awareness on the part of the individual. Again, I do not treat trauma as a life transitions coach, but I am trauma-informed and trauma-aware so as to best serve my clients where they're at in their process of healing, in their journey. Following points are taken from the Advanced Relationship Trauma Certification Workbook as part of the program that I participated in with Lindsay. It says the trauma-informed coach definition. I'm not including all of them, but I am including some key points. He, she, or they understand the potential presence of trauma in humans. 2, how it presents on and off coaching calls. And 3, how to use his, her, or their knowledge as a guide to support clients in active coach-client relationships. He, she, or they also understands the value and impact of how understanding trauma supports his, her, or their personal and professional relationships as well. The trauma-informed coach knows their bounds. The trauma-informed coach sees the world of healing and growth as something nonlinear. The trauma-informed coach sees how trauma can be perceived as heavy, but also light in the sense that we do feel lighter as we process emotions and live more in alignment with our true self. The trauma-informed coach recognizes the sacred space that exists during coaching calls. If you would like more information about this certification or trauma-informed coaching in general, check my show notes or shoot me an email. Thank you so much for joining me today. Beginning October 5th, the Dallas Hope Charities Collective Hope Coalition will be hosting their first ever book club and wrap up in November in honor of Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week, November 13th through the 18th. Every week, we'll be discussing Dr. Brandon Andrew Robinson's book, Coming Out to the Streets, and how the book ties in to the Dallas Hope Charity's fight to end hopelessness. It begins Thursday, October 5th and goes through Thursday, November 16th at 12 Central Time, and it will be through Google Meets. If you would like more information, please send an email to chc@dallashopecharities.org. Books can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, UC Press, or through used bookstores. If cost is a barrier, please reach out for alternative options. Note that the book contains uncensored accounts from LGBTQIA+ youth who have experienced homelessness, which may be triggering for some. So we encourage everyone to engage with the book at their comfort level. Subject matter includes language, self-harm, suicide, homophobia, transphobia, abuse, verbal and physical, drug use, sexual assault, bullying, and police brutality. Come join me in Hopeful Spaces, a Dallas Hope Charities component of Hopeful Discussions, which is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz Financial Services USA. Hopeful Spaces is a monthly parent, caregiver, and ally support group facilitated by Megan Skidmore Coaching. To join is free. Simply send an email to chc@dallashopecharities.org. Visit meganskidmorecoaching.com, where you can find this podcast as well as additional free resources. Check the podcast show notes on any platform for links to sources cited. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram for more and to send me a DM. To help the podcast grow, please follow, rate, and review, as well as share it with a friend. Beyond the Shadow of Doubt is a proud member of the Dialogue Podcast Network, which is a part of the Dialogue Journal found at dialoguejournal.com/podcast network. Founder Eugene England was a Mormon writer, teacher, and scholar who wrote, "My faith encourages my curiosity and awe. It thrusts me out into relationship with all creation and encourages me to enter into dialogue. My hope is that this podcast is an extension of that vision." Thanks for being here. Until next time.